For your homework assignment, you're going to be adding some lists to your pages and then styling them so they don't look like lists. There are basically three types of lists that we're going to talk about. The first one is the one that you're probably the most familiar with, and that's called the unordered list. And that's what you see when you get these list items and they all have bullets in front of them. That is actually made up of two separate HTML tags. So if we're looking at this, and I'm going to do this in Dreamweaver in a second, the individual items, so item 1, item 2, item 3, they appear like this, but they are each wrapped in an individual LI, which stands for list item tag, an opening and closing one. But the whole group of list items is wrapped in an UL for unordered list tag. So we've already seen this a couple of times where something is wrapped in another tag, like all of your content is wrapped between the body tag, your CSS is wrapped between the style tag. So that's the same way that lists are. The other type of lists that we'll look at are ordered lists. So ordered lists by default will just give you a number in front of them, 1, 2, 3. This is the way it would look in the web page. This is the way the code looks. So the individual list items look exactly the same. They are wrapped in the opening and closing LI tags. It's just that the outer tag is OL for ordered list, and simply that's it. That's going to make it a number instead of a bullet. But our goal is going to be, because we're going to want to use list items, and you will discover that actually web pages are full of list items. They just don't look like list items because they're styled. And so one of the first things we're going to do is learn how to style them to get rid of the bullets. But stuff I'm not going to go over because it's in your book is there are other things that you can do. You can change these bullets. You can make those bullets from images. You could change their locations. There are all different kinds of things that you can do in terms of styling them. The third type of list is a descriptive list. And I'm going to have to go over to Dreamweaver to show you how this is done. But this one is actually made up of 3 different tags. So the whole thing is wrapped in the DL tag. And that is the for descriptive list here. And I've tried to use some color coding here just so you could see it a little better. So my opening and closing. Then I have a DT tag, and that is my descriptive title. So the work experience and the skills are both in the DT tag. And the difference is going to be the next tag, the DD, for I think it's descriptive detail, is going to be indented. So I don't have that set up there. I'm going to show you over in Dreamweaver, but first we're going to go over to the W3 School. So this is a place I send you a lot, and if you go through the W3 School and you go into the different tutorials, here's one for lists. If you want to find out also a little bit more about lists, and they'll talk about basically there are 2 types, the unordered and the ordered lists, and different ways you can style them using an image as a list item marker. So that's something that's going to be covered in the book. You can go over, you can click on the try it yourself, and here you can see the code and you can see how it turns out. So you can have your list as different kinds of bullets, and it doesn't have to be 1, 2, 3, it also could be ABC. We can also use the W3 School to look at the DL, the descriptive list item, as I was saying before. And we're going to try it ourselves. So here you can see an example how what's in the DT tags is what stands here well, it's not really outdented, it's what's in the DD tag is indented. So if we go over here to Dreamweaver, I have a couple of lists already set up. So first of all, let me show you how to make a list in Dreamweaver. So I'm just going to continue on this page. So I am a list item. I am also a list. And don't forget me. Okay, so right now if I look at their tags, these are paragraphs and they're blockline elements, so they have this kind of double spacing in between, and they all come down a separate line. But I'm going to highlight them, and I'm going to go into my properties inspector right here. I have my icons for creating paragraphs or creating anything into a list. So I'm going to click on the one that has the icons of the bullets in front of it for unordered list, and they immediately get bullets, and when I look over in the code view now, they've changed. They've now been wrapped in the UL opening and closing tag, and each individual item has the LI around it. So if you wanted to do this by hand in the code view, it would be pretty easy. I just start with the UL, and oops, it's not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be UL. and then just type in my individual LI and close it out. And don't forget to close out the UL. Typing is horrible. Okay, I click over here and it's now its own another list item. So I don't see the result of the UL. The only way I see the result of the UL is it brings it down into another line. So if I decided that I really want this guy to be part of this list, I have to get rid of those two ULs. So it just cascades and gets into the original list, and I only have one closing UL. And now it moves up. So same thing if I wanted to switch this over to now become an ordered list, I'm going to highlight it and then I'm going to use the tabs down here. Or I could simply use go into the code view, and if this was, I'll just do some Control Z's to undo this to the point where it's back at being a paragraph. Hopefully this won't take forever, maybe it will. Okay, so these are paragraphs. I could also just go in and change these guys. Add just simply my UL and my closing UL, and then change these to LIs and closing LIs. And that's another way you could do it. And change it from P's to LIs. And now, same thing. Okay, but kind of the more interesting thing is how do we style them? So I already have some styles set up here, and let's say I want to target my list item, and I want to have my list style type. I'm going to, here's where I can have all of those different options for if I wanted to have a disk or a decimal or something besides a bullet, but I'm actually going to choose none. Because especially when you're working on your recipe, if I have numbers, I have bullets and then numbers, it just gets a little bit too cluttered. And so that's what I would recommend. And so now I have my list items, which are pretty nice because they follow one right after another on top of each other, kind of like the a line break, but I don't have the bullets there. So I'm going to go over to the descriptive list page that I already have set up here, and let's talk about some other things that we can add to the styles. So in this one, I've set up a style for my DT, and that is what we have here that is bold, and I've set up my different font and a font size and a font weight of 800 to make it darker, and I added padding to the top of it, and I'll just change that so you can see what that's doing. 40 pixels, padding to the top of it. So basically, I'm adding padding up here, but I'm also separating them out. So if you want to, even though they're all part of one list, but if you want them to have more separation between them, you could add padding to the top. So I'm just adding padding to the top of the DT, not to the DD. Well, let's just take a look and see how that would be different. So I can also target my DD tag, and here what I've done is font size 12 pixels, but just so we can see that each one of these tags I can target, I'll give the DD a different color, and use my color picker, and I'll make that red. And so now you can see that's not exactly what I would recommend, but just to show you that when I have a single item that is split into different tags, I can target those different tags and give them different attributes. So they're all together, but the DT has different attributes than the DD. And I could add a different kind of padding. If I wanted these, if I had a long list here, I was going to list all my jobs and I wanted them to have more space, so I could add padding, let's say to the bottom of each one of my individual DDs, and I'll add 10x, just so we can see how that looks and you can see how that separates it out. Okay, so I'm kind of rushing through this because all of this is also basically covered in the book. Just wanted to make sure that you had a little additional voice added to the material that was covered in the book. But this is the kind of stuff I'm looking for your 3-page website recipe homework.